Have you ever wondered if there's like a real structured path to enlightenment? I don't mean just vague advice, but a detailed step-by-step blueprint. Well, today we're diving into an ancient system that's been called exactly that. Think of it as a kind of cosmic operating system for human development. This is the Bodhisattva's 10 stages.
All right, so let's get right into it. The key here is to think of this system not as some dusty old text, but as a standardized evolution protocol. It's a powerful way to frame it, right? It's basically a clear, repeatable, and universal roadmap for reaching the highest possible state of being.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with the protocol itself, then witness its grand unveiling at what you could call a cosmic press conference. After that, we'll dive deep into the very first step, radical joy. Understand the engine that drives the whole journey, and finally, bring it all home with a modern-day roadmap for you.
To really understand this system, we have to go to the source. And I want you to imagine not some dry, dusty lecture, but more like a universe-level product launch. I mean, this is the unveiling of the most important software ever created. Now, the location for this launch event, it's not a place you can plug into Google Maps. Our source calls it the Hihua Zizai Heavenly Palace, which is really just a way of describing a higher dimension of consciousness, something way beyond our normal everyday awareness. And get this wasn't a public talk. The audience was a gathering of incredibly high-level awakened beings, bodhisattvas from all across the universe. Think of it less like a public lecture and more like a high-stakes internal strategy meeting for the cosmos's most advanced minds. The keynote speaker, the one chosen for this monumental task, was Jing Gongzong Bodhisattva. His job was to be the official publisher, the one designated to reveal the very architecture of this cosmic operating system. No pressure, right?
And the way this knowledge gets transmitted is fascinating. Jing Gongzang doesn't just, walk up to a podium and start talking. First, he enters a super deep meditative state called samadhi. Then, Buddhas from every direction appear to give their blessing. And finally, all these divine abilities, like perfect memory and flawless expression, are loaded into him. It's like a secure, multi-factor authorization to make sure the transmission is absolutely perfect.
So, with the stage set and the speaker fully authorized, the blueprint is finally ready to be revealed. Here it is, the 10 stages, the standardized path from an awakened being to a fully enlightened Buddha. And here they are, the 10 levels of this whole evolutionary protocol. It kicks off with the joyful, and then moves to the stainless. Then you get these stages that sound almost elemental, right? The luminous and the radiant. Then comes the challenging one, the hard-to-conquer stage, followed by the manifest and the far-reaching. The final stages are all about ultimate stability and wisdom. The immovable, the good wisdom, and finally, at the very peak, the Dharma cloud stage. That's the whole map. But then, just after listing these 10 names, there's this dramatic pause. Jingang Zong Bodhisattva says he won't explain them. And you're thinking, wait, what? Well, the reason is that the knowledge is so incredibly subtle, so high-dimensional, that if someone misunderstands it, it could actually do more harm than good.
So what happens next? Another bodhisattva steps in with this absolutely brilliant metaphor. He argues that just like all our words are built from the alphabet, all Buddhist wisdom is built on the foundation of these 10 stages. To not explain them would be like giving someone a library but no alphabet to read the books. And that's the perfect argument for why, despite the risks, the teaching has to continue. So, with one last blessing from all the Buddhas, the explanation begins. And we're going to zoom in from that massive cosmic scale right down to the tangible, personal experience of the very first step. This is stage 1, radical joy. So this is a really crucial point. The joyful stage isn't just a fleeting good mood. It's a fundamental state change. The second a person genuinely decides to seek enlightenment for the benefit of all beings, not just themselves, they cross a threshold. They literally become, as the source puts it, a member of the Buddha system, and this profound, unshakable joy just floods their being. This transformation is so total that 5 of our most basic human fears are completely wiped out. The fear of not having enough to survive, the fear of what other people think of you, your reputation, the fear of death itself, the fear of failing or falling into bad circumstances. And yeah, even the fear of public speaking or standing up to authority. They just dissolve. So how on earth is that possible? The source gives this one beautifully simple reason. All of those fears are rooted in protecting a fragile, separate idea of me. But when the very concept of that separate I dissolves, well, the fears that were built to protect it have nothing left to cling to. There's no self to protect, so there's simply no fear.
But what fuels this incredible journey? What could possibly motivate someone to walk such a vast and challenging path? The source describes it as a kind of unstoppable, perpetual motion machine. Right at this very first stage, the Bodhisattva makes a vow. And we're not talking about saving a few people or even a country. They vow to guide every single sentient being in the entire universe to enlightenment. The scale of it is literally infinite. And here's the beautiful logic that turns this vow into an infinite engine. The vow only ends when every last being is saved. But the number of beings is endless. Therefore, the vow can never end. This creates this perpetual, inexhaustible source of energy and purpose that powers the Bodhisattva through all 10 stages. It's just brilliant. Okay, so this is a fascinating cosmic blueprint. But how does any of this apply to us, right here, right now? Let's pivot to our last section and see if we can translate this ancient wisdom into a modern-day roadmap. The source uses this amazing analogy. It compares a bodhisattva to the leader of a merchant caravan. A smart leader doesn't just start walking into the desert. First, they understand the entire journey from start to finish. Then, they gather all the resources they'll need. Only then do they confidently guide everyone else through the dangerous parts of the road, until everyone arrives safely at the destination, the City of Wisdom. So, what does our personal roadmap look like based on that? Well, first, create your own life progression map instead of just drifting aimlessly. Second, activate a long-term vision that's way bigger than just your own personal goals. Third, really start to observe where your fears come from. You'll probably find the ego at the root every time. Fourth, build a system for continuous self-improvement. Fifth, seek out whole systems of knowledge, not just random fragmented facts. And finally, number 6, don't just grow for yourself. Become a guide for others on their own journey. And that really brings us to the final, powerful question that the source leaves us with. It's a question we can ask ourselves every single day. Am I just drifting along, reacting to whatever life throws at me? Or am I consciously, deliberately walking the path of awakening? The choice, as always, is ours.